And we are back with our penultimate lecture for the Art and Code Homemade Festival of 2021, Digital Tools, Crafty Approaches. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Hannah Epstein, also known as Hansky, who is a fiberspace artist. She integrates the traditional craft of rug hooking with digital technologies, creating digitally augmented artifacts and interactive narrative installations or gamestallations. She joins us from her dual homes on the fringe of the internet and in a church she is renovating in rural Nova Scotia. Hannah Epstein.
Hey, so thank you, Golan, for that introduction, and thank you for having me here for the Art and Code Homemade Conference Festival. My name is Hannah Epstein. I think something is weird with the. I think it's glitching. Are you guys end? I think there's just a bad connection. I made a backup video, so just play that until I figure out what's going on here. Hey, my name is Hannah Epstein, and I make art on the graveyard of the 21st century. Okay, let me just check my email here. Power bill, no. Family, no. Super scam, no. Okay, delete that. Hey, finally.
You've got mail.
Fuck. Oh, Golan.
Hey Hannah, this is Golan Levin here.
Oh, hey, Golan.
You know, I never knew. Was it Hannah or Hannah? I was never sure.
It literally doesn't matter.
So, was wondering if you would want to come to a presentation, this festival I'm doing.
Okay, I'll do it.
Cool. Well, that's great. See you in cyberspace. I'm Golan Levin. Bye.
Homemade. Homemade. Like, what does that even mean anymore? Literally everything is homemade now that we've been in prison there. Even my sister, she's a lawyer. She's basically practicing law in a homemade courtroom while riding an underdesk elliptical. If only an artist with a lot of foresight did their 2017 MFA thesis show about this exact topic. Oh yeah, I did that. So I think I'm back now. I bring up my thesis project because I want to show that my work has been concerned with the concept of home. The home is a threat to totalitarian power. It seeks for ways for you to open the door and let it in. The project was called Work From Home, and it starred the Family TM, a mock version of the YouTube family phenomenon, where real families would upload content of their daily lives to YouTube, collect followers and likes and subscriptions, and basically cash in on advertising dollars. It seeks for ways for you to open the door and let it in. I'll show you next how I've actually been working from home for the majority of my working life, pre any kind of pandemic. Hopefully throughout the talk you'll see how my experience in different home settings has affected work production. The last years of the home as an unadulterated space to launch, critique. You only need one take. This footage you're watching was shot in 2012, a couple years after I had moved to Toronto. I was living in a 6-person rooming house and making a lot of rug hookings and experimental video games. See you guys. My home was a very direct launching pad to all of these projects and allowed me to find myself as an artist outside of the school system. So I live here with 6 other people. So there's like an array of things that have been collected over the years from other iterations of 6 people that have lived here. Like once you put together this environment, maybe you would understand like the video games and art stuff that I make. It's unlivable, like on a surface level, and at the same time, it's like the most heartwarming place I've ever lived.
Welcome to Psxibook. Welcome to Psxibook. The series of tests you are about to undertake are part of an experimental prototype in consciousness mapping software.
Cyborg is like, it's actually like a brainwashing mechanism. So we put it inside the back of a van. People would go in one at a time and they would answer a whole series of questions to create a model of your psyche. Unadulterated space to launch, critique. Cyborg starred a charismatic techno cult leader, basically an Elon Musk type, who encouraged people to shed their meat husks and upload their consciousness.
I'm sick of it, and I know you are too. War, poverty, illness. This world has gone mad. It has
was to like really like put people into like a cube assaulted with sort of brainwashing, pro-technology rhetoric the whole time. Hopefully I'm trying to get them to confront what it is to exist in a technological world.
Enter Carnegie Mellon. Grad school was the first time I was making work outside of the home, the first time I had a studio. Inside the studio, it was important to me to try and retain the essence of what it was that got me to grad school in the first place.
The commodification of the homemade aesthetic in a military industrial complex.
So I made projects like Choose Your Own Adventure Clothing, Destroy Evil, which was an interactive installation. People were encouraged to destroy whatever they thought was evil. Or Shark and Hope, where people flew around these RC-controlled sharks. I eventually started making these interactive rugs, like here, Feed the Ducks. Hey, yeah, I'm back again. I just had to go change my clothes. So I think it's impossible to talk about working from home without addressing the domestic situation we have in these circumstances. And for me, my domestic situation changed drastically after graduate school.
Home sweet home. Home as the place where women historically experience a lot of exploitation.
I moved in with my boyfriend who had just sold his app company. We lived half the time in a penthouse condo in Toronto and the other half in a modernist box in Venice Beach, LA.
Namaste.
Personally, right now, I have a multimillionaire boyfriend and I have no money. This was actually a pretty creative time for me. I was able to put together 2 solo shows. The first show was Monster World and it sold out in a couple of days and was reviewed by the LA Times. The second show was Do You Want a Free Trip to Outer Space?
This is a show about from Hannah Epstein, who's a Canadian-based artist, and all the hooked rugs that she made, each one by herself, illustrates her voyage to outer space and back to Earth.
Hooked rugs and video games as Trojan horse-style incursion technique into the cultural temple known as the Art Gallery.
Superficially, I had achieved success, although I was experiencing a lot of isolation and loneliness that people now, under the conditions of the pandemic and lockdown, are starting to become familiar with.
Sometimes I think about what it might be like if I was the rich one and my boyfriend was the poor one. Like, what if I went to work and he stayed home all day and did some light dusting?
Today's craft will be an extension of societal oppression into the domestic space.
So I left. With no solid ground to stand on, I bounced around from New York to Iceland to Israel and Italy, all while trying to put together my next solo show, Making Bets in a Burning House. The show was definitely about me processing a breakup with a tech boy, but it also symbolically was meant to focus on culture's currently fraught relationship with its own Silicon Valley boyfriends. One room of the show had the handmaid hanging on prison walls above a lava floor. In the second room, you discover you've been under surveillance the whole time, being watched by a camera that tracks you with an AI system, and all the works in the room are made by an AI. I fed all the images of all the rugs I'd ever made into a generative adversarial network, and I had those printed and made into physical objects, basically realizing the AI's predictions.
There's nothing that's sacred to technology, but its insatiable desire for growth and consumption.
The only handmade object is a worm whose tail points to a fake iPhone. If you were to pick it up, the home button would zap you. The snake in the virtual Garden of Eden.
Did you know that the Chinese use the same word for crisis as they do for opportunity?
Yes, crisis-tunity.
Gatherings of this part are not allowed. Please practice safe distancing at all times. Stay safe. Stay home.
Stay safe, stay home, where we can keep an eye on you. Right, guys? And so, yeah, I was like, basically, this is the apocalypse. I need to get as far away from any kind of densely populated city as possible. So, Nova Scotia. And I need to, like, create this safe place so that when my friends are, like, escaping America because their country is collapsing, I have a refuge I can offer them. What better place to build a refuge but a church?
Driving down the coastal highway, Lighthouse Route 3, you approach a tall, white building.
The home is a threat to totalitarian power. It seeks for ways for you to open the door and let it in.
You approach a tall, white building.
Oh, hey, welcome to my church. It's mostly like a church/studio. So this is where I hang out and smoke cigarettes and read books. I wanted to try spray painting all the walls, but that turned out to be a terrible idea. This is my collection of beach rocks that will eventually be an outdoor fire pit. This is where I've been doing a lot of the shooting for the video you've been watching so far. This is where the magic happens. Is it weird to green screen in front of a green screen? This is my one attempt at a painting and I nailed it. I still do a lot of rug hooking. I basically sit here and kind of imagine myself as a rug hooking priest. And I imagine that the thing that I'm making is like my sermon.
I want the new work to be as epic as possible. I want to abuse as many sacred cows as I can, and I want to playfully call out total losers.
Yeah, I also have a bit of a collection of antique hooked rugs that I'm like starting to build. This is...
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there. I'm just here. My aunt was down yesterday to look at a church pew.
Record this, please record this. So obviously because I have a church, it means I also have a graveyard. Graveyard of the 21st century. Facebook, Bitcoin, Netflix, Twitter, and actually Amazon owns this graveyard and they're still in power and I'm not going to say anything bad about them. Grimes and Elon, a life together, an afterlife together. Okay, like, I'm sorry. I don't hate technology. I really, I don't. I use technology all the time. Like, I'm shooting this on an iPhone. I'm on the internet all day. I basically am constantly performing on Instagram. I've been integrating circuits into textiles to make them like react with sound when you touch them. I do a lot of projection mapping. Like, I use technology. I just like see what's happening and I just don't want like any of the stuff that I make to be a party to like what is essentially a new type of feudalism that's arising, like the virtual empire, where we're all these like peasants tilling the content fields. And I understand it's like an inescapable rubric at this point, but I just like refuse to really believe that.
So basically, if I was going to give some kind of conclusive statement, it's that for me, the idea of homemade is like really about making a home space, what that means to own your own space.
And this is my room. This is like my inspiration. This is from the East Coast. And I think it's supposed to be like a Mexican style fighting mask or something. But like this is, to me, like is like the weirdest shit ever. Like that sense of like ignorance. Like I don't know what I'm making, but I'm accidentally making something amazing.
Okay, wow. Hannah, Epstein, I don't really know. Wow, that was definitely a unique take on the very simple ask for you to come here and talk about the homemade. So I guess my first question is, I'm Golan.
Right. My first question.
Did I I was having a heart attack. Did that work? I didn't watch.
It totally worked.
Okay, good, because I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
holy-
no, everyone is in the chat. Yeah.
I was having a total freak out thinking that it wasn't going to work. So
No, it totally worked. It
oh
totally
my,
worked. Everyone's here for you. Everyone's here for you.
okay, good,
I
good, good.
want to channel their questions, which we have a good amount of time for.
Wait, can I just say that I've like killed myself making this video, and
It's amazing.
I feel like the questions I like will try to answer them, but I feel very brain dead and incapable. So try.
No, it's good. It's clear you were up for some time to make that.
Yeah.
The curatorial committee is very proud. A simple technical question in a way. First question, very simple one, is what kind of time commitment is rug hooking? Do you do it by hand? How do you feel about tech for rug hooking, like tufting guns?
Yeah, so rug hooking is definitely what I spend the majority of my time doing. And so that means basically like anywhere from like 3 to 6 hours a day. So it's very labor intensive, but in a way, it's like a way of doing labor and leisure at the same time. So I'll be rug hooking, but I'll also be watching movies or listening to podcasts and just like consuming media as I'm doing this like slow process, very much responding to and reacting to media. The tufting gun is something that I was initially very attracted to because it's sort of like the electric guitar, and I feel like I'm playing acoustic. But I've sort of remained true to just like the handmade, the hand hooked, very like in touch with like this, like my body is the machine is like what I like to say. And so like feeling like very much in tune with like the body's power to create things and not trying to like extend it to a tufting gun. I mean, also like I didn't want to build a new frame and didn't want to like get the new material to do it. Like I'm sort of like steadfast in this methodology that I've already developed for myself. So
there's a lot of questions about the church.
Oh yeah.
First of all, Maddie, whom you know, asks, does Amazon literally own the church? There was a little bit of blurring of reality and irreality there. What's the deal?
No, that was just a joke to like imagine like a future. But yeah, sorry. That was a joke question too.
Do you actually have a graveyard?
I do have a graveyard. I mean, it's not my responsibility, but my neighbors are all dead. So yeah.
You live next to a graveyard, or your property includes a graveyard?
It doesn't fully include it, but like it's, I mean, who really—
Does your property partially include it?
It like borders onto it, and there's like sections of it that are mine. But yeah, like who really owns a graveyard? I like to call it the rave yard because like maybe we like big party there.
What are your plans for the church?
Okay, so like I've been converting it into like a living space. So you saw in the video there this guy coming in asking about the pews, and like, so the church was like full of pews, obviously at the church, and I just had them all cut out and put on the front lawn. And so like it's been a way for me to get to know the neighbors. Like all the neighbors are stopping by and asking me if the pews are for sale. So that was like a real thing. So just like creating the studio, getting it down to like very brass tacks, and then also hopefully a residency, hopefully a gallery space. You know, these are all part of the plan.
Residency sounds great. How did you start rug hooking? It's unique.
Yeah, so I did my undergrad in folklore, and then like
in Canada.
And then I decided I needed a real skill, so I learned how to rug hook. And so that was like when I was 25. I went to a woman, she opened the door and she was like, "So you're the new hooker." And she brought me into her basement and taught me the one skill I've been using since then. So yeah, from 25, I'm now 35. It's been 10 years of rug hooking.
But in growing up in Nova Scotia, you mentioned to me that you had rug hooking artifacts around you.
Yeah, like it's a traditional craft. So it's here everywhere in people's homes. They just sort of take for granted. Just the imagery is more typically like these really sweet, like pastoral scenes of like a little house or like a chicken and welcome mats. They're not like naked James Franco.
How has the church and or COVID informed your recent most work?
Okay, well, like some of the work is a very much like direct response to COVID. Like I have one piece where there's like
Chinese lettering, and it translates to like there's nothing to see, and there's like a woman dancing in front of like a giant pile of skulls. And so like that's like a very direct like response to like our current situation. But I mean, like I'm trying to say in the video, like I've been working from home for a long time. So the situation, everyone's complaining about like isolation they feel. This is something that I've been going through for a long time. You just get crazier is basically my advice from someone who's been doing it for a while.
The projection mapping on the church, is it indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
How are your neighbors enjoying that?
Loving it. So I'm like right on this thing called Rails to Trails, which is where they converted all the old train tracks to hiking trails. But like, because I'm in the country, it's a lot of people on ATVs, like real Yahoo types. And so they're like zooming by and then basically put on these like shows for them, and they'll stop and they'll like honk a little bit.
You mentioned that you have a church bell. Do you ring the bell when you do the augmented projections on your church?
Oh, I should. No, I rang it on New Year's Eve and, you know, some special occasions, but yeah.
Kelly Heaton asks a question. I don't completely understand. Have you explored hooking a Ouija board rug?
Oh, no, but that's really interesting. I definitely like to do a lot of projects that interact with like the spiritual, magical, like energy realms. And so,
Yeah, y'all should meet.
yeah, definitely. Hit me up.
I think there is such a wonderful wealth of things on have you been to the Discord? Have you seen the
I just like put my phone away and I was like just pacing, like hoping the video worked. So
everything, yeah. So we have a Discord channel that if you drop in, you'll be able to see much more about it.
I'll be after this for sure.
Maddie asks, do you foresee collaborations with your neighbors?
Yes, actually. So I've been playing some online chess recently. So like chess is like reemerged in my life. And there's a folk artist around the corner who like makes these like large wooden sculptures. So I was joking about maybe setting up like a sort of chessboard in my backyard and having him build, and then having a surveillance camera, because I have an outdoor surveillance camera, like set up above the chessboard, so you can sort of like log in from your phone and like have the overhead view of the outdoor chessboard from the surveillance systems.
Other questions. What's been your favorite content to consume lately while making? Have you been watching Queen's Gambit or?
I did watch that. Yes, that's like part of the inspiration for playing. I mean, I love podcasts. I listen to a lot of Red Scare. It's horrible that Anna Kashian was deplatformed from Twitter at the same time as Trump, you know. And yeah, so Red Scare and Tim Dillon. I really like him. He's like a conspiracy theory comedian. So yeah.
Hannah, you have set a new bar for a conference presentation. The audience can understand when I first heard that you were going to be making a video, I was like, oh no, what's this? But I was assured by many people I had nothing to worry about. And I'm so grateful for the incredible energy that you have put into this. In the Discord, I guess we still have one more minute. Maybe a quick question here has just come in on my phone here. My fiber crafting partner wants to know if you do arm exercises to keep from getting them hurt. She's learned she has to pace herself sometimes.
I mean, I just like sort of stretch my wrists like this and maybe wear like an elbow brace, but I'm kind of like, when the machine breaks down, the practice breaks down. So yeah.
Thank you so much for your incredible energy. You have a well-deserved rest. In just a few minutes, we're going to pick it up again with Kelly Anderson for our final presentation. And a big hand to Hannah. Thank you so much, Hannah. And we will meet up again in about 5 minutes for Kelly Anderson's presentation.
Thank you so much for having me. Really, thanks for being open to this.
You bet. Thank you. Good night.